What I was wondering was, how do you know when you've taken on too many interview processes? Because I obviously speak to some candidates and sometimes you hear they've got like 5 or 6 on the go, they might be spreading themselves too thinly. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you've got to be super focused. So is it just a scattergun approach where you're taking all these opportunities because you're panicking?
Like if you're out of work and you're quite desperate.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But again, you don't want to be doing this in 6 months again and taking the wrong opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And work is such an important part of your life. We spend a third of our lives at work. That's like 90,000 hours. It is quite a scary thought. But yeah, you've got to really enjoy the job that you're doing and feel passionate about it. So it's making sure that you sit down and think exactly, what do I want, from my job? What do I want from an organisation? And do your values line up with their values as well? So I think, first of all, you need to get that right. So again, when you're looking for these opportunities and you're going for interviews, is that the right opportunity for you?
Like values and culture, like
exactly.
Is like, people are understanding that it is so much more important than just remuneration.
Yeah, exactly. So it's making sure your values are lined up. And with interviews as well, if you're having 6, you're not going to be focused enough. So your thinking's going to be all over, you're not going to be effective.
Yeah.
So you're better off drilling it down to 3 that you really want to go for. Then you've got the time to prep for them as well. So you're fully prepared, you're feeling confident going in there, rather than just trying to take too many on. And as we said earlier, you're so emotionally invested in it, it does take up a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And then this where it comes back to looking after your well-being, because you've got to be on top form, for going for these interviews as well.
You said, Rav, that you had candidates that were maybe doing like 5 or 6 interviews. Maria, what would you say are warning signs or symptoms, I suppose, when you've taken on too much and you've just put too much pressure on yourself, I suppose?
Yeah, well, I think it's that you're starting to feel stressed and really overwhelmed with it, and then you're not going to be effective. So you want your focus to be laser sharp, so it's making sure you're focusing on what's the right priorities, at that time, and making sure it is the right opportunity as well.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously not helping yourself either, right? If you go into an interview, not doing a great job, coming out of the interview, not getting progressed, feeling bad, doing that over and over and over and over and over. It's actually a vicious circle. It's not getting you.
Exactly, and that will come across as well in your interview if you're not prepared, you're not feeling confident, or if you're feeling stressed. Yeah. So when you go for an interview, you want to sit there and be the best version of yourself.
We had really interesting feedback the other day, actually, a final interview, and he came out the interview thinking that he'd nailed it and they were going to offer him the job and everything was great, and he was really pleased because he wanted to get a job. He was out of work and he was going to start on Monday, but the reality was they discounted him because he was their feedback was too desperate. He came across as being too desperate. So it's almost like, to your point, he's gone too far into really needing it and not been the best version of himself, has allowed other
that's such a hard thing to keep in check of with yourself. Surely that's such a fine line between coming across as really enthusiastic and sincere and desperate.
What would you think about, just as I've been sat there thinking, the money bit really resonated with me because everybody, I'm sure, it's great when you sat in a job. You would suddenly lose your job tomorrow. I'm sure most people haven't got months and months and months of savings, just the pressure on families and mortgages and whatever, and the cost of things. What would you think about if you, rather than being out of work, while you're trying to focus on a specific job that's going to have the right values and the right long-term option, getting a job just to tide yourself over, like work in a bar or work in a shop or agency work in a factory, or just to keep money coming in. I reckon a lot of people in our industry would see that as beneath them. But would you suggest that might be a useful
well, absolutely, because again, it's something to get up for every morning. Because I suppose it's very easy to for it to affect your mental well-being, and you can slip into feeling anxious and quite depressed being out of work. So it is really important you've got something to get up for every morning. So that's why having that structure in place every day, will keep you going.
Because there was a candidate recently, wasn't there? Did he work for the RSPCA or something?
Yeah, I've heard about that actually.
They were out of work and they just volunteered. So they looked for a job, but they just kept that structure by working for a charity.
That's so wholesome, isn't it?
Well, actually, that's a really good shout, is maybe getting involved in your local community and doing some charity work. and that's going to make you feel good because you're giving back as well, and that's also going to look good for a potential employer that, you know, you're not just sat at home doing something, you've been like really proactive and you're giving back to the community.
What have you done for 3 months? Well, I've completed Netflix.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I think that structure for me resonates with me the most, because I know for me, I'm at my absolute best when I've got a really strict routine.
I've just got one more point to make on the interview process as well. You don't want to have like 5 or 6 so you're spreading yourself too thin and you're not focused. But then another thing is to make sure that you're still looking for opportunities and almost got a plan B while you're waiting for the answers on whether you've got that job or not. So again, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket and your heart's on this one thing, because then it feels like a massive drop when you don't get it. But if you know that you're moving forward and you think, well, okay, that opportunity's not worked out, but actually I've seen something else that I've applied for, it just keeps that momentum going.
That's a really good point. So that'll resonate with the people that we work with. So they're salespeople, so they're used to managing a sales process. The same way that if they had a piece of business on the go, they wouldn't have all their hopes of hitting their target all on that piece of business. They'd have other plates spinning in the background. But you might not want to run 5 to the max at once, but you need to know where your next move is. So that's a really good tip. That if you run it like you would a sales process and you're getting up every day and having that structure, that to our listeners will feel more normal to them.